Linda Ronstadt's enduring impact on the music industry is beyond dispute, but her personal life, especially her decision never to marry, has long fascinated her fans. While many musicians of her era embraced the limelight with partners and even families, Linda chose a different path, one filled with personal exploration, romantic relationships that never culminated in marriage, and a profound dedication to her craft. Her choices have often sparked curiosity, leading fans and media alike to wonder, why did she never marry? In this video, we will explore Linda Ronstadt's thoughts on love, relationships, and why she ultimately stayed single, all while reflecting on her impressive musical journey. Born in 1946, Linda grew up in Tucson, Arizona, in a household that cherished a mix of cultural influences. Her father, Gilbert Ronstadt, was of Mexican heritage, and he passed down his love for traditional Mexican music to his children. Her mother, Ruth Ronstadt, was a homemaker with a deep passion for classical opera. This eclectic musical upbringing gave Linda a broad foundation, inspiring her to explore various genres later in life. From the outset, music was at the heart of her existence. But it was this very love for music that would guide her choices throughout her life, including her decisions about love and marriage. Growing up in the desert landscapes of Tucson, Linda began singing with her siblings at local venues, eventually forming a band called the Stone Ponies in the mid-1960s. Their hit song, Different Drum, in 1967, was Linda's first taste of stardom, and she quickly transitioned to a solo career, where she experimented with various musical styles. She effortlessly moved between country, rock, pop, and even mariachi music, showcasing her ability to transcend genres. By the late 1970s, Linda Ronstadt was a household name, recognized not just for her stunning voice but also for her pioneering spirit. Her albums dominated the charts, and she became one of the few female artists who could sell out arenas and stadiums during a time when such venues were typically dominated by male rock stars. In 1969, she became the first female artist to release an alternative country album with Hand Sewn, Homegrown. She followed this success with three chart-topping albums: Heart Like a Wheel, 1974, Simple Dreams, 1977, and Living in the USA, 1978, cementing her position as the Queen of Rock. But while her professional life soared, Linda's personal life remained enigmatic. Over the years, she had several high-profile relationships with notable men, including musicians, actors, and politicians. Yet none of these relationships led to marriage. Her decision to remain single puzzled many, especially given the number of relationships she had with influential figures. Some speculated that her refusal to marry stemmed from her devotion to her career, while others wondered if there were more personal reasons behind her choice. When asked about marriage, Linda often shrugged it off with humor. She once remarked that marriage simply wasn't a priority for her, describing herself as a serial monogamist rather than someone destined for lifelong commitment. Despite society's expectations, she found fulfillment in her romantic relationships without feeling the need to formalize them through marriage. For Linda, relationships were about connection and partnership, but she wasn't willing to make the compromises she believed marriage required. Her independence was a defining aspect of her personality, both in her personal life and her career. In a 2019 interview with the Washington Post, she candidly expressed that she didn't see herself as cut out for marriage. She explained that she didn't like to compromise, and something as simple as choosing the color of a sofa could become a source of contention. If she wanted a pink sofa, she wanted it, and she wasn't willing to give that up. This playful yet honest admission reflected the larger theme of Linda's life, her need for autonomy and control over her choices. Though Linda Ronstadt's independence may have been a factor in her decision not to marry, it wasn't the only reason. Her experiences in the music industry also shaped her views on relationships. In the mid-1970s, as her career skyrocketed, she noticed that relationships among her peers, particularly those in Hollywood and the music industry, were often short-lived. The constant pressures of touring, performing, and being in the public eye made it difficult to maintain meaningful connections. She once noted that relationships didn't seem to last long, no matter how much people wanted them to. The relentless demands of fame introduced new challenges and temptations, further complicating the possibility of lasting love. Linda also observed that the competitive nature of the industry often spilled over into personal relationships. Fellow musicians, actors, and public figures were constantly vying for attention and success, and this competitiveness could strain romantic connections. As someone deeply invested in her craft, Linda was unwilling to let these dynamics interfere with her artistic journey. Concentrating on her music, she poured her energy into her work, refusing to allow romantic entanglements to sidetrack her creative vision. Yet despite her reservations about marriage, Linda was not without love. Over the years, she had many meaningful relationships. In the early 1970s, she dated John Boylan, a Grammy-winning producer and songwriter. The two were deeply committed to each other, even living together for a time. John played a significant role in Linda's career, helping manage her rise to fame, but their relationship ultimately fell apart when they moved in together. The demands of Linda's career and her need for independence put a strain on their relationship, and while they parted ways romantically, they continued to work together professionally and maintained a deep respect for one another. Following her breakup with John, Linda found love again with J.D. Souther, another talented musician. The two were together for several years, collaborating on several hit songs, including Faithless Love and Prisoner in Disguise. Their relationship was filled with creative synergy, but it too came to an end in the mid-1970s. J.D. later admitted that he couldn't quite remember why they broke up, but they remained on good terms. In 1974, Linda briefly dated actor Albert Brooks, known for his work in Defending Your Life and other films. Though their relationship was short-lived, it was a significant chapter in Linda's life. Albert was not involved in the music industry, which provided a different dynamic for Linda. Despite their differences, there was an undeniable attraction between them, though it wasn't enough to sustain a long-term relationship. Perhaps one of the most well-known relationships in Linda's life was her romance with Jerry Brown, the former governor of California. Linda and Jerry began dating in the early 1970s, and their relationship continued through the latter half of the decade. While Jerry was smitten with Linda, she sensed early on that their relationship wouldn't last. The demands of his political career and her constant touring made it difficult for them to build a life together. Linda once remarked that she never fooled herself into thinking they would share every aspect of their lives. She believed that his world was too confining for her and hers too chaotic for him. Despite this, the two remained close friends after their romantic relationship ended. In the early 1980s, Linda had a brief romance with comedian Bill Murray, followed by a more serious relationship with actor Jim Carrey in 1983. She met Jim at one of his performances, and the two shared a deep connection, spending 8 months together before parting ways. Jim spoke highly of Linda, describing her as an incredible human being. Another significant relationship in Linda's life was with director George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. The two met backstage at one of Linda's concerts in 1983, and their relationship lasted for over 5 years. At one point, they were even engaged, though they never married. Linda and George kept much of their relationship private, and when they eventually broke up in 1988, they did so quietly, with little public attention. In 1989, Linda began a romantic and musical partnership with Aaron Neville, the famous soul singer. Their collaboration resulted in several hit duets, including Don't Know Much and When Something Is Wrong with My Baby. For a time, the media dubbed them the first couple of pop music, and their musical chemistry was undeniable. However, their romantic relationship came to an end in 1992, though they continued to perform together occasionally. Despite the many relationships in her life, Linda never found someone she wanted to marry. While she cherished her romantic connections, she always returned to the belief that marriage wasn't for her. The pressures of fame, the ever-changing nature of the entertainment industry, and her deep commitment to her music all contributed to her decision to remain single. She saw marriage as an institution that would have required her to compromise, something she was never willing to do. Beyond her personal relationships, Linda's later years were marked by significant health challenges. In 2009, she officially retired from performing due to her deteriorating voice, though she did not reveal the cause until 2013. It was then that she disclosed she had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a condition that made it impossible for her to continue singing. Over the next few years, Linda's condition worsened, and by 2019, she was diagnosed with progressive supranuclear palsy, a rare brain disorder that has no cure. The disorder affected her ability to speak and walk, and she became dependent on walking sticks. Despite these challenges, Linda's spirit remained strong. In interviews, she often spoke of her career with pride, expressing no regrets about the decisions she made, both personally and professionally. While the loss of her singing voice was undoubtedly difficult, Linda found solace in other pursuits, including writing and spending time with her children. She adopted two children, Mary in 1990 and Carlos in 1994, and devoted much of her later life to raising them. In reflecting on her decision not to marry, Linda's words carry a sense of contentment. She never felt the need to conform to societal expectations, and she remained true to herself throughout her life. Her relationships were filled with love and mutual respect, even if they didn't culminate in marriage. For Linda, her independence and her music were always her priorities, and she lived her life on her own terms. Now in her late 70s, Linda Ronstadt continues to inspire her fans with her resilience and her incredible contributions to the world of music. Though she can no longer perform, her legacy is secure. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014, and her music continues to resonate with new generations of listeners. For Linda, love came in many forms, through her relationships, her children, and most importantly, through her music. And while she may never have married, she lived a life full of passion, creativity, and independence. As we reflect on Linda Ronstadt's journey, we are reminded that everyone's path is different. Marriage isn't the only measure of a fulfilled life. For Linda, her music, her relationships, and her children were enough. She chose a life that allowed her to pursue her passions without compromise, and in doing so, she became a true icon. So as we listen to her timeless hits, let's remember the woman behind the music, an artist who lived on her own terms and left an indelible mark on the world. What are your thoughts on Linda Ronstadt's decision never to marry? Do you think her career influenced this choice? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates and stories about your favorite artists. See you in the next video.